And we are back for another amazing episode of Everything and Nothing. How's it going, bro?
It's well. I've had our first real feedback.
Ah,
I've got two people that reached out to me and said, "Hey, I listened to all of your episode. Keep it
wow.
going. I like that."
That's awesome.
One was from our common friend Andreas, who lives out west in SoCal. He liked it, and the other one is my old college buddy Brian Kane. Shout out to Brian out in Wisconsin, I think.
Okay.
He
Wow.
listened to it, and he loved our ADD ramble. The pace of the topics that we went from submarines to silence boat to literature to what we want to do in life and how life should be, and cellular IoT.
It was totally a ramble, no doubt about it. We were just like, woo!
But the reason he loved it is because his ADD is just as grave as yours and mine. And
Excellent.
That's why he's like, wow,
Squirrel.
These guys are on track. I see this. I'm just surprised that Kanye West haven't reached out yet.
I'm surprised.
About streamer conscious coming at us.
If we could get Kanye on the show, wow. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah. I'm going to sit here. Let me go on to Instagram because in addition to just getting, how many did we get? Like 70 some odd views, 50 some odd views on.
I think we're at that.
And then, but I also uploaded it just directly to Instagram. Let me go find it here. And let's see here. Wait for it. Where the hell?
You made a story out of it, right? Oh no, you made Instagram TV, right?
I did Instagram TV. Oh, here it is. And I think we did. I'm showing, what is that? 180.
That's amazing. How come people watch
181 views?
What? So I like Instagram TV. I watch a lot of music there.
Yeah.
Why would I watch an hour-long podcast on Instagram TV?
I don't know. But
thank you for listening. We love you guys.
We love you on Instagram. We're Instagrammers or whatever that is.
We're influencers, right?
Are we Instagram stars now?
I think we got to pass maybe 200.
Okay.
Then we're stars, right?
Yeah. You know, I mean, we're not hot on TikTok yet, though, and so that's
no, I think we're not.
So I'm kind of.
We should probably think about that, and maybe we should get our own account on Instagram.
Yes.
Be sure we share it.
Yeah, you're right.
Because now it's your. I mean,
I know. No, you're right. We got to do that.
You're also a celebrity. You mean you've done stuff, real stuff in your life?
I'm just faking it.
That's what I plan to do. But hey, you had your birthday.
I did.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
36. That's a
36. It's a big respective age to be to. I can't believe I finally made it here. I didn't personally think I was going to live outside my 20s. You know, I was just like, woo! I mean, the shit that happened back then, you know, I can't believe I'm still alive. So it's amazing.
I had a dark period when I was in high school. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be 25 and then I'm going to die in a parachute accident.
Yeah.
A friend of mine said, why do you think that? Oh, well, I want to try all the stuff. I did rock climbing at the time. I wanted to go parachuting. I never got around to do it, but I thought I'm that kind of sloppy guy that's like going to jump and people are like, now pull the parachute on.
Pull it. Oh, what? Shit. What?
And maybe that's why I didn't get into parachuting. Preparation is key there.
It's never too late. But I think the fact that you've already had that dream and it seems really, really real, it's probably a good chance if you go try parachuting, you will die.
So maybe I should do tandem one and make sure I have someone else pack my chutes.
Yeah, or kind of like in like Mission Impossible, whatever. You know, I think Tom Cruise and Superman are both parachuting over Paris, and Superman's chute doesn't work, and Cruise has to fly down and grab onto him, or some shit like that. I don't know. Make sure so go with someone else so you can sabotage them when your chute doesn't work.
I was thinking of that. Is that a James Bond movie when they're skydiving and they're going into the plane again?
Maybe.
They're jumping out of the plane, and then the plane is just like, woo! And then they're just catching up and just going into the door again and like, I need a chute.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do that. You know, I'm totally down with that. Weren't we supposed to get another James Bond movie this year?
I think we were, right?
Yeah.
And it got postponed.
Yeah.
COVID, they greedy people, why wouldn't they just sell it directly onto one of these premium subscription services?
Well, that's big news. I mean, I heard, what Warner Brothers Studios and HBO Max said they're going to be launching all these movies simultaneously at the 5 or 6 movie theaters that are actually open. And then on HBO Max, and Christopher Nolan was completely pissed off. I mean, I think everybody was like, yeah, let's do that. And Nolan was just like, you're destroying our whole industry. Apparently he's been associated with Warner Brothers for 20 years since he started making movies. And it was wild to see him just come after them in such a ferocious way. Obviously, he took the big risk and had Tenet come out in movie theaters this year, knowing that it's probably not going to make as much money as it would otherwise. Obviously, I think of Christopher Nolan as kind of like the current version of Spielberg or some of those guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's going to go down in history as one of the big ones, the one who made the big movies.
Yeah, because they just, and so we had that little window of time, I guess, in the summer here in Seattle, where they briefly opened up theaters for a little while before things shut down again. And we went to the IMAX and saw Tenet, and it was totally badass.
Or was it?
Yeah. But it's coming out. It's coming out on streaming like right now, I think.
We've had the movie theaters open, but like in a 200-seat movie, you could be 50.
Okay. Yeah.
At some point in time, we had 50 as a limit for events.
Okay.
And the cinema's like, well, 50 is good. I mean, the cost is there anyway. It's real estate cost, so it's a sunk cost. Yeah. And to show it is that they're paying. It's not an investment to get a movie; it's a revenue share deal or per ticket sold deal. Okay. So 50, the cost that you generate is the same if you have 50 or none, actually.
Okay, so is it different than like restaurants who were saying if you open this up at 25%, it's not worth doing because it costs too much to operate?
Well, so that's the thing, right? A movie theater needs one guy, the machinist, right, who starts it, right? Essentially, maybe a couple of people checking tickets and selling candy, right?
Yeah, right.
But in a restaurant, if you're in a restaurant, it's probably 5 people in the kitchen. 5 chefs, and then you got a couple of people doing the dishes. You got a couple of waitresses, maybe a barman, maybe all of a sudden there's 10, 12 people.
Yeah. It's a big expense.
What's your tab going to be? An average. I mean, restaurants, at least in Sweden, they're barely making it unless they're open lunch and dinner and are sold out.
Yes.
Then the owners make some money, right?
You're right. It's already a tight, kind of low margin business.
Oh, yeah, and that's why you have tips, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the tip is for the waitress. They're not overpaid.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard at 25%. I think it's better to go belly up and go for some kind of protection money. In Sweden, at least, if you go belly up, the government went in and let you kind of curb employees that you wanted to keep. Yeah. So they got paid, I think, 80% of some kind of average wage, and they would keep the job.
Okay.
And you would have them still employed technically, but they didn't have to work.
Right.
And you wouldn't have to pay that salary, but the government paid it. So.
Okay.
From that point of view, Sweden has made it out pretty well through that COVID situation.
Yeah.
So a lot of our restaurants and stores, they can actually open again as long as they get to open, right?
Right.
If the employees are still there.
Right. Yeah. Because in the U.S., we saw lots of restaurants that when they said 25%, they're just like, it's not worth it.
No. But it's also a little bit like if you're a poorly run business and you're sucking on the margins every day, week in and week out, and something happens. It doesn't have to be COVID. It could be in a strike. Could have been something.
Yeah.
You'd go belly up, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you're, we had a lot of restaurants that swapped around and they did delivery. Okay. They did dinner bags, and there's now a term called ghost kitchens. They're chefs working in kitchens, prepping food that is being delivered by delivery boys like Uber Eats, etc.
Yeah,
Right?
makes sense.
And there's no waitress.
Right.
They only need a kitchen, and they deliver amazing food that you can,
Yeah,
semi-bake your home at
that's
home, right?
awesome. That's awesome.
But flipping that around, and that,
Yeah,
that becomes an online business all of a sudden, right?
yeah,
Where you need to do online advertising, search engine optimization, make sure people get, it's called Weekend Back. So we tried a couple of them. They're good. I mean,
that's great.
you get like, I got this, one was with this Iberico, like a Spanish pork loin,
Yeah.
which has only eaten oak, what do you call acorns?
Okay.
Acorns?
Acorns. Yeah.
Yeah, and they only had that. It was so tender. Like, I'm not a big pork guy, but
Okay.
these pork chops were
Wow.
good.
That's awesome.
I was
Wow.
skeptical at first, but that it blew
That's
my mind.
amazing. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, this is like a lesson in intelligence and pivoting and reacting quickly. You know, I've heard, and we've talked about this before. Just I've read somewhere some people say the definition of intelligence is your ability to adapt. It's not how much you can memorize or how smart you sound. And so it's been interesting, kind of like to your point, seeing restaurants pivot quickly and adapt to changing conditions to survive.
But it was also clear a lot of the famous chefs who's been on TV shows like,
Yeah.
in an interview, how you've been doing, like, well, so we realized we got to take a stab out of the startup business and pivot, but we don't have the skills. We're great at making hollandaise sauce. We're great at getting the steak perfectly done. We're great at composing the flavors.
Yeah.
When it comes to, all right, people can't sit in a restaurant and eat, but they still want to eat.
Yeah.
We're not solving the problem. We're only a piece of the problem, because restaurants has been around forever.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have the online capabilities. Maybe we have someone running our social media, but most of the times the restaurants have given that away to a media agency who's doing that all the time. They come around once a week to take 200 pictures, and they use them throughout 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they come back and take new pictures. And if you look carefully, it's the same people, right? Having equally fun every time, every picture, right?
That's amazing. I love it. We're all
I'm
eating
back
this.
again.
I'm back
But it's just-
again.
One day and 5 different glasses of wine.
Yeah, exactly.
So they realized how much of that they need to take in-house, like bookings. Like,
Yeah.
they can't be relying on like booking.com or like find a seat or whatever, table.com or whatever they're called,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden they're not that they might not offer weekend backs.
Right.
And if you're going to sell weekend backs, you're not selling seats at a table.
Yeah.
You got to have an online system that can adapt. So
I feel like there's a big lesson. I think there's a big lesson here with watching restaurants, probably more than anything, that can be applied to startups, to big businesses.
grocery stores.
That people should pay attention to. I think when people work at giant corporations, they feel like they're somehow superior to people who work in a restaurant or something like that, and it's just bullshit. Everyone's out there just trying to make a living, and they have a skill. They're making a product or delivering a service in exchange for money, and we're all trying to make it.
Whatever you're making, you could be the next restaurant.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
if you're not careful, if you're not nimble and you understand what's happening, you'll be the next Barnes and Noble. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, online.
Where's everybody? What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a coffee shop now here at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah. There was a book. I can't remember the name totally or the woman. I feel bad about that, but I remember she was an executive at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
But the book title, and I'm going to mess this up, is basically, like you've always heard of people say everything I needed to learn about life, I learned in kindergarten or something like that. She wrote a book, everything I ever needed to learn about business, I learned from working at McDonald's. And she talked about her experience of starting right at the bottom. I'm working the cashier, I'm making quarter pounder with cheese or French fries. And then I'm managing people. I'm taking a truck of supplies of food and re-equipping my restaurant. I'm working with customers. And throughout the book, what you realize is everything about real business is right there. It's happening. Supply chains, inputs, outputs, margins, everything you need to know to be in any business in the world. It turns out just working at McDonald's was all right there.
I did the first line support for PC when I was like 15, 16. And remember, this is like 95, 96. Like,
yeah,
like PC was just exploding. We're talking the Pentium Pro,
yeah,
kind of Pentium 2 era,
yeah,
where everyone was playing Quake online at home.
yeah.
Um, ISDN was just about the hottest type of connectivity you could have.
Woo!
And I was 15.
Yeah,
And I knew everything there was about computers. And I was the guy in school that people came and asked, right?
right, right.
So when I got the opportunity to work in frontline service desk, I'm like, well, all of you are so much older. You have so much more experience. Like, oh, you can try it, crushing it, right? Because I never had to check out any answers. I knew all the answers. The
Already
only thing
knew
I
it.
didn't know was the password for the mainframe, right? And then my world collapsed because mainframe was bad.
Yeah, bad,
Oh,
bad.
they did not think of UI or UX when they made mainframe. It
No,
was made to be hard, made for experts only.
wearing a lab coat or something like that, you know. There was a restaurant in Seattle when everything first closed down. They're called Canlis. It's one of the top restaurants in the city, and it was a great lesson in rapid pivoting to survive. And they went from being one of the most expensive high-end restaurants to selling hamburgers and sandwiches and everything like within the first week.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great lesson in business agility where the owner saw, you know, kind of recognized, oh my God, here's this new world. I can't just keep pretending that nothing's changed. And so how do I survive? And it's like, it doesn't matter that
A
last night.
$600 tab is not okay here. We need something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you talked about the idea of just kitchens being open and nothing else. I'm certainly seeing that. You know, my son works at a restaurant. He's a waiter and bartender at an Italian restaurant in Seattle-ish area, and totally pivoting to it's just the kitchen and a few people who are kind of expediting getting the food together, packaged up, and either delivering it to the people who are driving up curbside or, as you said, Uber Eats, DoorDash. Woo! How about the DoorDash IPO that just took off? Wow.
Timing of that.
Yes, yes. If that had happened a year ago, it may not have been as big a deal. But now it seems like magic. And I think of other startups in the past that did the exact same thing and crashed and burned. But timing.
Yeah, timing, everything.
Yeah, exactly. But so so you kind of set back, like, you know, I know we've talked about in our world, like the world of connectivity and digital, what's worked and what's not. But I'm certainly looking at restaurants and other things like that and seeing what's worked and what's not. It's the ability to just pull back to the kitchen. A lot of restaurants initially they're saying, hey, just call us and order, and that kind of didn't work. I saw a lot of them, to your point, they got really savvy and found ways to put a menu and ability to order food online quickly and have it work on a mobile app. Either through another third party, or I saw a lot of mobile web apps that let me order food from what I would say was completely unsophisticated restaurants who've never even imagined doing something like that, and yet had to quickly let people order and say, order.
I think a lot of that is because like all the frameworks are there. E-commerce is readily available. It's not magic to put a menu out there, you know, product catalogs.
Right.
Put a product catalog together, get and add to that and check out. And there was a ton of who's reaching out to help.
Yeah.
But
I
think they just grabbed a couple of those guys and said, hey, they did not go to Accenture and say, hey, we would like an online experience. What would you think our customers would appreciate at this time?
Yeah.
I think they just said, but we need an app on phone. And I need to order, and I need that to connect to this printer. And you go, pasta carbonara, 2, hot dogs, 5, 2 Cokes, to go.
Right. And so we've seen lots of executives talk about how digital transformation is accelerated by 2 years or 10 years or whatever. But you saw it for real in these unsophisticated restaurants who got apps out there, got connected. The ones that had drive-throughs, I don't know if that's a thing in Sweden or not, maybe. they, if you were a restaurant or a Starbucks or something that delivers through a drive-through, you were doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Because your business model was already working well for that I can't come inside thing. If you were a pizza delivery place, you're doing great. You already had the right business model. I hate to tell you, all you high-end restaurants, it turns out your local pizza delivery guy is kicking your ass during COVID.
Yeah. No, so drive-through is not a big thing. If you're a restaurant and you have a drive-through, you're a McDonald's in Sweden.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Right.
We're not as carified as you are
Yeah.
but we're getting there, I think.
Yeah. So McDonald's
also made a killing. Must have been the streaming services, right?
Oh,
I can imagine that subscriptions are up.
Absolutely, just through the roof. Netflix.
Have you seen the new The Undying?
The
Hugh Grant and
yes, I saw the first episode. Yes,
Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
It was good. I feel like I hadn't seen Hugh Grant in a while.
He looked old, didn't he?
He looked old, folks.
I felt fit when I saw him. I'm like, I'm not doing too bad. That's good.
When I think of Hugh Grant, I remember the first time I ever saw him was Four Weddings and a Funeral. And the movie starts out with him, obviously, he and his sister waking up, obviously late. He's always late to get to a wedding or something. And the movie just starts out him going, fuck, fuck, fuck. And she's like, fuck, 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 fuck. And they're racing and trying to get dressed, and they're, what a great beginning to a movie.
Oh yeah. What's that called in Latin? In medias res, like directly into action.
Oh, okay.
Like there's no build. Like
you're right.
Another one is camera panning over a landscape, like slowly. What's that other Nicole Kidman movie? Australia.
Yes.
They were gunning for an Oscar Best Photography, not Best Screenplay, but Best Photography. That's the one they were gunning for, right? And
Absolutely.
I think they got it.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And you're right. So they just write in motion, like James Bond. Most James Bond movies start, the action is already happening. James is skiing down the slopes in the Alps, and the bad guys are behind him shooting at him, and that's how the movie starts. And he takes him out or whatever.
Slow, right?
Yeah.
Or you see a timer that going down, like, all right, shit is about to explode.
Yeah. It's funny, you talk about that. So in my other parallel life, I pretend that I'm a writer and write books, and I go to writers groups. Obviously you have book clubs where people read books, but there's also writers groups that meet maybe once a month, and we sit there and talk about writing or stuff like that, and different ways to do it. And I certainly remember oftentimes being the only guy at some of these meetings and telling them how I would start with action, kind of like that James Bond, like, because you want to grab the reader or the moviegoer right away. You don't want how do you hook them instantly? And so it's like, it's already in motion. Shit's going to hell in a handbasket right away. And
the torpedo was leaving the submarine, and you just want to continue to read and see what it's hitting, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
There's a Swedish writer called Jan Guillou who, one of his the first book in one of his series starts, "The bullet entered through the eye." I think the book is called Coq Rouge. It's about a Swedish undercover agent, and funny thing, he uncovered the secret Swedish police, like NSA kind of style. And they denied that it existed, denied, and then it went to jail.
Okay.
Because it was true.
Oh.
Denial didn't work out in long end, right? He published everything he knew.
Okay.
And they were like, oh, shit. He goes to jail. Like, we look like idiots. And our denials are going to be recorded. Like, no, that does not. Yes, it has happened.
It happened. Absolutely.
But he starts all of them, like, they're like, poof, right in the eye. And when I read that first sentence, I'm like, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
This is my writer.
Absolutely.
I did not read Australia.
Yeah.
So halfway, 1.5 hours into the movie, it's like, so what's this movie about?
So it's like in my sequel to Submarine Warriors, like the beginning of the working title has been Underworlders Strike Back. Pretty clever, huh? And but it's the same kind of thing, you know, the kids who are the kind of the heroes in the first submarine movie, now they're older, they're teenagers, and they've gone through SEAL training down in where you used to live. They were down in Coronado. And so they had, but you know, it starts out with them in the back of a C-130 plane about to do a halo jump at night into the Pacific Ocean. You know, one of the things, you know, SEALs going through Bud's camp there in San Diego talk about is being dropped out in the middle of the ocean 10 miles and having to swim back to Coronado. And that's just part of being a SEAL. So I was like, well, that's what these kids are going to do, that, you know. And of course it gets freaky though, because they get sucked underwater and some really bad shit happens with some underworlders. So, you know, I really should take the time over the holidays and finish that damn book.
No, you should. You have the story lined out.
Yeah, I just don't have the ending. I thought I did, but I don't. And so I've got that. I've got the whole.
You have someone who helps you with like where you pitch endings to, and you, like someone who gives you a like, no, this sucks, or no, this works out.
You know, a little bit, but I probably need more help there, actually. You know, it's like, and I'd thought through, I'm such a lazy writer. I should have had this book out years ago. I'd thought through the very beginning. I thought through this notion of a Battle of Seattle, you know, where there's this multi-submarine battle right in the Puget Sound in front of the city, with Underworlder Shard, their crystal subs versus a bunch of US subs, and trying to imagining kind of like when you see the orchestrated battle, which is more simple maybe at the end of Red October, you know,
Right.
where the Russian guy ends up shooting himself with a torpedo. But
Alert. No.
yeah, yes,
Or you don't have to say that if the movie is 25 years old.
you're a Swedish guy playing a Russian. Why do we always have Swedish guys playing Russians?
Because you can't afford, you don't dare to bring a Russian guy in to play a Russian.
Of course.
Because he could be a spy.
Yeah.
And
true.
Stellan, so bringing this full circle,
Yes.
Stellan's son, Stellan Skarsgård, his son is now a famous actor, right?
Yeah.
He's in Altered, he's in, what's that other Nicole Kidman series?
I know what you're talking about. The
No,
title escapes me.
Pretty Lies.
Yes, Pretty Little Lies. Yes,
Pretty Little Lies. Oh,
Yeah.
What a great show.
absolutely.
Undying is a little bit like that. Undoing is a little bit like that.
Yeah,
That psychological, you think you know people, and then you realize you know people.
yeah.
Maybe you do know people.
Maybe you do know people. But yes, the elder Skarsgård. You arrogant ass, you've killed us. You know, I need
And he's
100.
in Chernobyl.
I need 100. Yes, that was great.
Oh, so good.
Oh.
And once again, he was playing Russian.
Yes, as usual.
Why
Yes.
didn't the Russians get a role in Chernobyl?
They because the place
Their version ended happy.
it didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't poison other people who oppose us with, you know, radioactive isotopes and putting in their coffee or tea or something like that. We don't do that either. Yeah. Yeah, Skarsgård, you know, I really loved him in Good Will Hunting. Do you remember that role that he had? He was one of the mathematician professors.
Yeah.
And so you had him kind of at odds with Robin Williams, you know. Yeah, great actor.
And then his younger son is in It, right? The new version of It.
Yes. Woo!
Also very talented. Very different actor, but also very talented.
Yeah. You know, speaking of It, that very first opening scene when the little boy is following the boat down and going and looking into the gutter or whatever, and he's down there, and then the kid trying to get away and bites his whole arm off, and the kid's trying to drag himself into the middle of the street, and that arm just starts extending and drags the kid back in. Oh my God, what a beginning to a movie.
We saw the first one, and I think that was the first time I saw It as a movie. I've read the books.
Yeah.
And I saw the movie, and when it ended, I'm like,
Yeah.
There's a sequel.
Yeah. Shit
There's
got real.
definitely room for sequel. My wife's like, what do you mean? No, there's room for sequel here. And now it's out. So
That's right. They're going to come back. Exactly. And so I was imagining the perfect Halloween decoration to have in front of your house on the street is if you happen to have a gutter or sewer near your house, is to have an extended arm coming out of that and having a fake doll of a little boy in the middle of the street with missing an arm and like kind of the blood streaming across the street.
So I'm conscious about, like, my kids are 6 and 9, right? And we don't watch horror movies like It or
Right.
Chucky or Annabelle. And we were talking about this was last Halloween, so a non-COVID Halloween where you could actually do proper Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
And my 6-year-old's like, I want to go dressed as Chucky. I'm like, how do you know who Chucky is? And is this explaining why you're not sleeping well at night?
Could be. Oh my
Kids
gosh.
talking at school, and they someone has an older brother and someone even older than that, and all of a sudden it's handed down.
That's what happens. It's someone's older brother that always screws it up for the little kids.
Imagine you dress up a family. Dad goes as Jason.
Yeah.
Mom goes as, what's her name? Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, yeah. Freddy Krueger and all the.
Yeah, his.
And oh god, you know what? Friday the 13th was one of the scariest movies. I remember the scene. I mean, remember they're all trying to stay awake.
Yeah.
Or wait, no, never mind. That's Nightmare on Elm Street. Never mind.
That's another one.
I'm thinking of the wrong one.
You think of.
Yes, I was thinking of Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street, and if you fall asleep, that's when they'll get you in your dream.
That's funny.
That was.
Imagine Dad goes as Jason. You dress up one of the kids as Annabelle. The other one is Chucky.
Yeah. Why
not?
not?
Trick or treating.
Exactly. That's how we.
As a dad, it's legit to stand out on the sidewalk and creepy looking in while the kids are getting candy.
It's totally legit to walk around the neighborhood with a chainsaw. Why not?
Happens every day, right?
Every day in America.
Well, in Sweden it happens too, right? We shouldn't think that Sweden is much better.
Oh, I don't know.
In a future world where COVID is gone, so have you started getting the vaccines out in the US now?
Yeah, it started getting out on Monday, I believe. Yeah.
We're starting December 27th in Europe, I heard.
Okay.
But then it's not too you can actually get flying. And I heard they're trying to bring back the Concorde. Remember the British Airways?
That was awesome.
The supersonic, was it 3 hours? London
to New York. Yeah, it was just
3 or 4 hours. Just
amazing.
Or was it just about that? Yeah, something like that.
But
it had lots of problems. But we got to remember, this was what, 80s?
Yeah.
80s?
Yeah, 70s and 80s.
70s and 80s.
And I guess it flew into the 90s. I guess they shut it down when a Continental Airlines plane blew up or something. It was in Paris at Charles de Gaulle.
Yeah, they crashed in Charles de Gaulle, right?
Yeah, because something got sucked in to the intake, something like that. Little thing. And people are like, oh, that's it.
But I think they had lots of problem with it anyways, like mechanical problem, not that caused like death or injury,
right.
But they were always, being sucked down on the ground because they needed to fix something.
Yeah, it was not a cost-effective plane.
No. But we're 40 years later now.
Yeah.
Technology has evolved significantly, right?
Yeah. Yes. So I remember obviously it's Christmas time and we think of obviously it started in Britain, when they had the what's the song? Do they know it's Christmas?
Band-Aid.
Band-Aid, they had that, and then they had a thing in the US, maybe it's USA for Africa. But I remember a big event in New York and I think in London, like a live concert. And to tie it into your Concorde thing, Phil Collins performed at both of them in the same day. He
Oh,
I think he performed in London, jumped on the Concorde, and 2 or 3 hours later is in New York, and he performed in New York or something like that. And it was like, wow, that's so amazing.
that's amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But so can we talk about that? Do they know it's Christmas?
Yeah,
Would that be singing a song like that today? Would that be acceptable from a, what you can say? Because it's kind of dumbing down
yeah,
one of the largest Christian continents. Africa is,
yeah,
I mean, there's a large
yeah,
amount, large population of Christians there, right?
yes,
You
yes,
probably believe more in God than many other Christians do.
yes. Probably
They rely their faith in God, right?
way more than Europe for sure. Right?
Oh, yes, right?
Oh yes, oh yes. You're right. I remember, was it Bono? I'm trying to think of the different parts of the song. Somebody says, "Thank God it's them instead of you," or something like that, and I was like, "Oh, did you really say that? Wow."
Like, don't just read their thing, you dumbass.
Wow, I'm glad it sucks for them and not me. I'm back here drinking tea in London and
Blue
everything.
glasses.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fine. Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know if that would fly today. They would have to change up the lyrics, I think.
And maybe because we had a PR accident, I would call it, where we had a set of Swedish artists flying down to Africa for charity. Didn't turn out too well.
Ugh.
It kind of became one of these, we fly in and we choose who to get to the concert because we're afraid that we'd get robbed of all the stage equipment if we invite anyone. And then it became kind of this, not, it was meant to be a good thing,
Yes.
just poor execution.
Yeah. There is always that fine line between we have a good heart and we're trying to do something good, and the misconception that, oh, here comes a bunch of people from Europe to save us,
Yeah.
like we need saving or whatever. There's always that potential of, oh, they're looking down on us, or there's some kind of level of arrogance or whatever, even though that may not be the case.
But that's why, like, what's his name? Not Ben Affleck, the other guy, water.org.
Yes, Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah,
Good friends now, right?
Yeah.
I like the idea of what they do, right? With
yeah,
we got to empower the others we got to help them get water,
right.
and they spend money on fixing that problem
Yeah,
instead of just bringing bottles of water because it doesn't work. And there's this other guy, Justin Wren, who has a nonprofit called Fight for the Forgotten. So
Yes.
he goes to Africa and he helps them to build wells.
yes,
And in the process, he teaches them how to build wells so they can build new wells for other villages.
teach them how to fish.
Yes, he took a page out of the Bible and said,
Yeah.
hey, this actually does seem to be legit.
This is
Try that.
legit. This is legit.
This is
Yeah.
what,
Yeah. No, those are great. And you're right. Another one that I give money to is Charity Water. And it's similar kind of deal. But yeah, I think a lot of people realize that, water is a big deal in just your ability to find it. That whole purify it, water and sanitation. Gosh, anybody who watched on Netflix Inside Bill's Brain about Bill Gates, that first episode, you're like, oh, they're drinking out of the same water that they're doing the other stuff. And there should be no surprise that all the little kids are dying and that all your brothers and sisters ended up dead. And
but did you see
sick all the time?
So think of Bill's, did you see the toilet innovation they did?
Yeah.
The combustion toilet, who was kind of self-fueling.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty amazing.
It is amazing. It's great when you just get a lot of people together and innovation can come,
And I love Bill's attitude. Like, okay, so we're going to find and identify exactly one problem. We're not going to spend the money, spread it out over every little cost there is. All right, so malaria is one thing.
Yeah.
I think I can fix that. If I scale enough, I can fix it.
Yeah.
The vaccine, the medication, everything is there.
Yeah.
We can get this, or polio or whatever
disease
he picks, right? Because It's
Right.
just about scaling, getting it out there.
Absolutely.
And once you eradicate it, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Unless you're
Unless someone start eating bats again, right?
got stop eating people.
Well, that's too.
This is your
then
Uncle
it's like,
Billy
oh,
here.
okay, so toilets. We have a problem with toilets.
Yeah.
Like people shit and piss in weird places. I've got to fix this. And my wife told me that, hey, they don't like to leave the kids outside because the kids could be kidnapped. Aha.
Oh.
Another aspect of toilets, a Western man wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah.
So I love that Inside His Brain.
Yeah,
show.
that was great. Then the other thing that you realize, and that I didn't know, but I realized, so it's obviously there's this water issue. There's not enough water, or it's declining. But then it turns out it's also a gender issue. You find out that the women in these villages are spending hours and hours, maybe 6 hours a day, doing nothing but walking from the village to get the fresh water, get the bucket, put it on their head, and walk back. And that's what your whole life is.
Yeah.
That sucks. That's
a little bit helping. That is one of our clients, Way Out. We're actually doing micro water purification centers powered by solar, so that you don't have to ship bottled water inland.
Yeah.
But you can take the dirty water, purify it, and drink it, and it's powered by solar.
That's
and
cool.
It's also connected, so you can remote control it and send supplies when they need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Speaking of cool innovations like that, this is making me think of something. All right, let me get over here on my computer. Let's see here. Trillion. Nope, that's not it. Wait for it. Okay. $1 trillion markets. Okay. So let's see. I need to make sure I can see this and still see the camera. But there's definitely good tie-ins here. It was a bunch of ideas. So I saw on Twitter, I don't know, maybe a week ago, this guy, he's a VC, his name is Sam Altman. He used to be the president of Y Combinator. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's an accelerator, kind of takes you through in Silicon Valley to do startups and learn how to do it. Anyway, but obviously a lot of followers on Twitter. And so he just kind of put something out on Twitter where he, and obviously if you're as well known as this guy is, a lot of people are going to reply, and he lives in that certain world. And so he said, tell me what are tiny non-existent markets today that will be $1 trillion markets in 10 to 20 years.
Oh.
And the answers were amazing. And I wrote a bunch of them down. And I'll just blaze through some of them. We can drill in, but it hits, and I had to reply as well. Brain computing interface. Obviously, we're hearing about Neuralink with Elon. DNA computing, safe food, ocean management, desalination, which is a big thing with me that I've written.
But that is a big market. It's a dark budget.
Yes, I think it needs more innovation because it's inefficient, uses a lot of energy to do that. But the world is up shit creek right now with not getting enough fresh water. Even in places that you think have it together, like California, they actually don't have enough fresh water in Southern California. Tidal energy, and again, these are things you've probably heard of, but they're just not big yet. So tidal energy, where you see things floating in the ocean, but to generate energy. Modular cities, so kind of like prefab, pre-building things to do that. You've probably heard of vertical farming.
Yep. That's big in Singapore, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Outdoors.
Actually, a good friend of mine from Microsoft, Yip Han Moon, is leading the charge with vertical farming in Singapore, doing great work there. You heard of quantum computing?
Yeah.
Trying to get there. Marine.
I like the battery recycling. I like that.
Yeah. Marine farming. Some of this, like when I write the Submarine Warriors thing, I'm always thinking of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I always think the best futurists are science fiction writers. And so maybe Jules Verne was one of those, the idea of going to the moon, the idea of building submarines and having underwater cities and having farming.
Because in a way, the idea of going to the moon is not a scientific idea.
Right.
That's
Right.
an explorative idea.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then a scientist comes in and says, it can't be done. You have to leave the atmosphere. You need a rocket this big. And you ask another scientist, can you build a rocket this big? He goes, hell yeah, I can do it.
Hell
I'm a
yeah.
rocket scientist.
Yeah.
Good. Can we try and launch it? And the other guy goes, what? You can do that? Hey, how do you land if you're at that pit? You know, you got to put the scientists together.
Yeah.
The naysayers, you set them outside the room and you break it down. And like, can you land a rocket standing? Everyone is his name. Please leave the room. Those who say, yeah, hey, come in. I got money for you. My name is Elon Musk.
Oh, that was pretty wild. Physical augmentation. There's a company in Salt Lake City. It's not Soracom. Anyway, Sarkaros, something like that. And it's like they're building. Do you remember like exoskeletons for humans?
Yep.
Do you remember in Aliens at the very end, Sigourney Weaver's like, get away from her, you bitch, and she had the giant loading exoskeleton and she fought the queen alien. This company in Salt Lake City is making that stuff. It's amazing. It allows a person to live.
There's a Swedish company that I want to celebrate who does that, to co-innovated with NASA. So it's a soft exoskeleton that gives you an iron hand. We actually have it in the studio, though you can try it out.
That's cool.
Bioserve it's called. And so they're helping people who do monotone work. So like the Swedish agency that resells liquor in Sweden, all those who work there, they lift heavy crates all day, right? They get tired, their arms get tired from, taking all those crates.
Yeah.
So they wear this soft exoskeleton in a glove and they become like Iron Man. So gripping a bottle isn't heavy anymore. So
that's cool.
You need to be strong in your back still, but you don't need strong arms.
That's cool.
Same with those are like tile setters who are making, you put tiles on the ground on your driveway.
Yeah.
They're lifting small rocks, like not very far, but they got to grab them and lift them straight up, right?
Yes. Yes.
They need that too. So
that's so cool. That's so cool. One of them I put in was massive storm water capture and redistribution, which seems easy and obvious. And
storm water capture.
So like when you have a big rainstorm,
yep.
If I'm in Australia, because I have family there, any new house that's being built in Australia has to also come with this giant, it's probably plastic, huge deal to capture rainwater.
Underground, right?
Yeah, I mean, it might be sitting next to the house outside. Actually, it looks like it's like a giant bucket, a giant huge thing, and it makes sense. Especially, Australia fights with drought a lot, and so if you're kind of like the all hands on deck, it's like whatever fresh water is coming from the sky, we need to grab that stuff and hang on to it because you don't know when you're going to see it again. Surprisingly, in the state of Washington where I live, it's illegal for you to have something like that at your house.
Because you could drown someone in it?
I don't know.
You can have a tiger in your backyard, but you can't have that?
Mike Tyson could have multiple tigers at his house, but you can't capture the fresh water. It makes no sense to me. It's because I'm imagining if like the only thing you focused on was water, we're talking about desalination all over the place, more efficient. We're talking about every time it rains, every skyscraper, every house, everything should have its own way to capture that rainwater and do maybe a little extra purification to it to use for all kinds of purposes instead of sucking it out of the ground or from lakes and stuff like that. It just seems obvious to me, but for some reason it's against the law in certain places. And then the ability to redistribute it. Like it rains all the time up here where I live. And it's wet, it's damp, and we don't have water issues. But other parts of the US do. And so I'm imagining a whole network, pipelines, a network. We're getting lots of rain here.
Ship gas across the country, you could ship water, right?
Exactly. We're good at pumping gas, so we can pump water. Absolutely. So
So actually, friends of ours are building their new house just 100 meters away from here. So, and they're actually having a 3,000 liters. What's that?
a
500
lot,
gallons, something like that.
something
Something
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
600 gallons tank underground
Okay.
for fresh water,
Yeah.
so that they can they can water their lawn whenever they want,
Yeah.
because they know that that's going to 3,000 liters going to keep them at least through the dry period of the summer.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's similar thing, right?
It is.
And I realized when we built the house here, all our rainwater that comes, it's called bay water, that comes on our roof, goes through the drains, sewers, and into the sewers for the water, back into recycling.
Okay.
So we take that, it doesn't go into the ground. You got to ship it into the canal, the kind of sewer system,
Yeah.
because it turns out it's easier to purify less dirty water.
Okay. Yeah. Shocker.
Yeah, no, not
Who
really,
knew?
right?
Who knew? Oh my gosh.
I like the guy saying carbon capture. I think that's an interesting part.
It is. It is. I agree.
I think China is leading on that, right, currently. But it's experimental, I think, highly inefficient currently, but it's one way of doing it.
There's several ways of doing it. I've seen in the oil and gas business and coal, they try to do some things to capture as it's coming out of the top of the smokestack. But then you're right, you're seeing in Switzerland and then just north of me in British Columbia, Bill Gates is actually one of the investors in a company where it's a giant machine that's sucking in air and pulling the CO2 out of it and storing it. And so that's another interesting way. I know not everybody buys into this stuff, but there's the notion that taking our emissions to zero today still won't be enough. We actually have to suck CO2 out of the air because we've already gone way too far. And so that's where you see, hey, let's plant 1 trillion trees. Hey, algae does a great job. There's a great startup down in Texas, Hypergiant, that's making this giant algae cube thing that can suck in as much CO2 as a small forest. Interesting innovations there. That's pretty cool stuff. But you're right, carbon capture is going to be a big deal, no doubt about it. Hand in hand with the water thing, for sure. Holographic communications. That's like Princess Leia reaching down to put the, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, to R2-D2.
Don't do that to me. I'm just starting to watch The Mandalorian. So
I finished season 2. I guess I finished it. Yeah, that's so good. Yes, thank you, Jon Favreau, for saving Star Wars.
Yes, that's going back, old school.
Yes, it is old school. Who would have thought that it'd be Jon Favreau of all people? I remember him from Swingers, but he's great in Chef. But he made Iron Man. Obviously very versatile storyteller. That's pretty neat stuff. Yeah, gosh, there's a lot of great stuff here. These ideas, actually, there's probably good for future content on the show.
We should probably
stop talking about these and not use up all these great topics.
Maybe we should read up a little bit on what's the latest and greatest, and then think of what could be done in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Talking about future podcast episodes.
Yeah,
we should have some guests come on here.
Yeah,
we have some good friends who have ADD as well, who would be able to keep up with our pace.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll send you a link of the Swedish King, and you'll get a kick out of it. You don't have to understand what he's saying for shit, but it's funny.
Do you think
he's like, oh, there's a cat over there.
Oh.
Can you film that cat? And this is the Swedish King and the Swedish Queen, and they're asking the Queen something serious about her charity foundation for kids, and all of a sudden the King's like, there's a cat over there. Could you film that? I love him. He's amazing. He didn't get the job by choice. Obviously, it's a choice not advocating, right? But
right, absolutely. I think I remember seeing that family the summer before last. I was in Stockholm on. Is it called Sweden Day, or what's it called?
National Day.
Yeah.
National Day.
And I was down there in the right part of town where they, not far, all you tourists, from the ABBA Museum.
Yeah.
And so I was down in that part of town, if you want to go see the big ship and all that stuff that people love to do in Stockholm as a tourist. And they had the police tape up and had us all back from the road. And then all of a sudden, here comes a horse-drawn carriage with the royal family all waving at their subjects. Oh, hello, little people of Sweden.
No, that's Carl-Henrik Swanberg. That's our Ericsson's former CEO who said that when he was at BP.
Oh, really?
Well, we care about the little people. It's not easy being Swedish, right?
No, I'm sure. Just like it's not easy being Kanye West, who we need to get on this show as far as our scatterbrain topics.
He'd be the godfather of stream of conscious.
He is. That's what we need. Did you listen to that whole thing on Rogan?
I couldn't. My mind couldn't take it. When he said, and when I found God, I'm like, I'm out.
I pushed my way through. I didn't do it in one time, though. I broke it up into pieces. My wife could not tolerate it. She's like, this guy's insane. And I go, well, actually, yes, he is clinically.
Clinically, yes, but we can discuss what you mean with insane and
yes.
Who thinks that this person is insane. Maybe it's the opposite. Everyone else is stupid and slow.
It could be, because at the same time, you can't deny that he's come up with some big ideas that have made him a lot of money and done a lot of amazing stuff.
After a while, it's kind of money makes money.
Yeah.
If Bill Gates would make sneakers and release them in limited edition, they'll sell the fuck out in Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Speaking of sneakers.
Are those Yeezys?
They are Yeezys. Just so that you know that I'm legit Kanye kind of guy. These are Yeezys.
No, you stole them from your son. I know that.
He got them for me.
Ah.
Yes.
What a nice son.
Look at this, man. Those are just awesome. That's like, yeah.
Are they amazingly comfortable?
They are. They are, actually. They are. And so, yeah, I've got a couple of pair of Yeezys. And so I guess you could say I supported Kanye for the presidency this time by buying some Yeezys. That was my donation to his campaign. Didn't work out too well. I was really hoping to have Kim.
He was late to the party, right?
He was late to the party. I thought it would be the most entertaining thing in the world to have him be the president and Kim Kardashian as the first lady.
First lady? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You think we had a crazy time this last 4 years? Can you imagine?
I saw the and my next guest needs no introduction, the David Letterman show, and I saw Kim Kardashian, and she amazed me.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Was it good?
No, see it. She is so much more than what makes the eye, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Intelligent, caring. Of course, not an easy childhood.
No.
With the upbringing she had, and all the paparazzis and everything that's been after them forever, but they made it their life.
Is she becoming a lawyer?
Yes.
Like her dad?
She's taking the bar, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And she's doing it. I mean, she's going to school like you just can't buy that, right?
Do a lot of people know who her dad is? That he was one of the lawyers from the OJ trial?
So we had to look it up. My wife and I know why is she famous? Like, we know there's 16 seasons of Meet the Kardashians. Like, the first one, was she famous? Like, I looked up, like, oh, he checked out early. Okay.
Yeah, her dad was part of the dream team of lawyers for the OJ Simpson trial, which at least people in the US think of that as the trial of the century. We can all
coming up now with Donald.
We can.
If Donald goes to trial, isn't that trial of the century? Or it's another century now, I guess.
Do you think we'll see Donald kind of reprise OJ's role? Where do you remember all the helicopter view of OJ and the white Bronco going down the San Diego freeway, heading south, and like
I've seen that part of it.
Slow motion and all the cop cars and everything. Oh my God! And yet, like, no, he's not guilty. Don't worry about him trying to run away.
But so I actually think Kim Kardashian could be a decent first lady compared to Ivanka. Is that her name? No, Melania.
Melania.
Yeah,
Melania.
not giving her husband a lot of love.
It did seem like he would reach out to hold her hand, and she'd be like,
Yes.
get away from me.
No, stop touching me.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's possible, and maybe we've talked about this before, like when Trump gets onto Marine One to say goodbye, I always think of that moment when Ronald Reagan gets on Marine One helicopter at the end of his presidency and waves goodbye. He's got a scarf on. And that seemed like a great moment. But Trump's going to do that. And then they're going to fly him directly to some country that doesn't have an extradition treaty with the U.S.
Or Guantanamo Bay. Or the
Guantanamo.
pilot is just going to make the society a solid. Like, where are you taking us? To another military base? This isn't Camp David. This is another camp. But
it's another camp. I'm imagining Trump ending up like in a bunkhouse with Roman Polanski and other people who are living in exile, something like that,
Oh, and with that guy, what's that guy who didn't hang himself? The guy with the island?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's his name?
Epstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. Epstein. He's alive.
Epstein, Polanski, and Trump were on an island.
Yes.
Do you know what happened? No.
But then they're going to get together and they'll do a reality show.
They were sitting down. They're going to have dinner. Guess who crashed the party? Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton.
He just walked in on them.
Hey guys, it's Bill Clinton here. Do you got
I'm back.
I'm back. Do you got any cigars? Come on over here, Monica. Give me a cigar. Oh my gosh. Well, that is entertainment. That is entertainment. Yeah, Epstein's Island, with what, Prince Andrew from England.
I think Silvio Berlusconi, the Italian Prime Minister of long, he joined the club by far.
He doesn't care. That guy.
No, he's hosting. He's hosting it.
That guy got away with everything, and he would keep.
And then he got back into presidency.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Who cares?
Like we talked about, the ability to, when you hire someone, you want to know what they've been through, right? That you do a background check, right?
Yes.
You want to know that you're not hiring a tax evasion guy.
Yes.
You want to know that he hasn't, like, if he's been to jail, you want to know that up front so you can make a conscious decision.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it matters, but if you've been in jail for fraudulent behavior and you're the new CFO, you know, I don't know, at least you want to know, right?
Yes, you might want to know.
And I think this is the time when we should say, hey, Biden, so you got to disclose all your medications. You got to disclose all your taxes for the past years and all your holdings and everything you own. We also would like to continuously check your blood to make sure that you're staying on the meds you should.
Yeah.
And you're not taking other pills that we haven't given to you.
Right. Is he going to be the
I think it's
oldest?
time to say, like, it's okay if you want to smoke weed. If you smoked weed in the past, we don't. It's not a federal crime anymore, right?
Nobody cares anymore. They used to care. Now they
don't
don't
know
care.
if you're on speed before you sign executive orders,
Yeah.
because you might just sign another one just for the fun of it.
Yeah. Bring him. Come on, bring him. Yeah.
I'm holding the pen. What am I signing?
What am I signing?
Hey, why do they get pardons? Why do the president gets to pardon someone without any influence of anyone else? That doesn't make any sense.
It's just one of those.
That happens in other countries like China, Russia, where the leaders ultimate power and get like, oh, you haven't committed a crime anymore. You're free, my friend. Oh, you worked for me, got caught because you had Russian ties, did time in prison, and now I'm exonerating you because I'm the president.
I think they're putting some dots together, aren't you? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you should have at least another couple of people looking at it and say, no. Maybe the grand jury,
It's interesting. That is like some kind of supreme superpower that the president has been granted to just at will.
Only used after losing election.
Yeah. Well,
Obama didn't exonerate anyone after the first,
right.
After his first period.
But he pardoned a lot of people when he was
after a second. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Lots of them.
Because no one could get to him, right?
Right. Absolutely.
But I think it's weird either way, regardless if you're a Republican or Democrat, right?
Yeah, it is
But
interesting.
in a way, it should be you can pardon people up until the election, or up until the year the election starts. But that year of the election, you can't do that, and you can definitely not do it after the election date.
Yeah.
Because then you don't give a fuck.
So, do you think that people will be looking through this list of pardons that Trump's doing, and they might discover Epstein has been pardoned, and then they're like, "What do you mean? He's dead."
Yeah, but it's post-mortem.
Yeah. But just in case he's alive on that island, he's good.
I don't know if anyone is going through that list. Are they making the list public?
Maybe. I think so.
Right.
I think so. I don't think the pardoning thing was ever thought of much or as a big deal until Richard Nixon, resigned after Watergate. And then part of the deal, Gerald Ford came in to, in fact, Gerald Ford was not actually his vice president. His vice president, as part of,
Double away him too.
Watch All the President's Men if you want to learn about all that stuff. But that was an interesting thing, is Gerald Ford was actually appointed after the other vice president's gone, and so then he ended up becoming president without ever being elected in any way, shape, or form. But then right there in that moment, the notion that Ford was going to pardon Nixon, because had he not, we actually would have gone. Nixon would have been a private citizen, and we would have watched him be on trial. Potentially for all that stuff that went down with Watergate break-in. And I think there was the thinking, no, let's just not let that happen. But as a result of that, Ford's chances of being reelected as president went way down. Yeah, exactly.
And maybe Netflix has this all wrong. There's a show called Survivor, or no, it's with what's that guy from Jack Bauer?
Oh yes. Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
Is playing a president.
He was the guy who was the only one who left. You're right. They had him be in another location when the president's doing the State of Union, and everyone else got killed. And so it's like, you're in.
Actually, I think they do have a picking order.
Yes.
Like, if the president and vice president are incapacitated, there's another guy, and there's a list.
There's
all
the
way down.
Yeah. Yes.
And your name is on that.
Right. That was a pretty good show.
2,847,252.
Yes.
Just behind Hillary Clinton.
Tag, you're it. Yeah, exactly. That was a pretty good show, actually. Those first few seasons.
Exactly. I was going to say, you can't watch too many seasons in a row.
Yeah, that's true.
So another one, surprisingly good, also on HBO, The Flight Attendant.
I watched the first episode. I did not see that coming. I did not realize.
It was so good. Like we're the final episode came out today in Sweden.
Okay.
So we're going to watch the final 2 episodes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to blaze through that. I just watched the first episode. I thought it was going to be like some kind of silly comedy about a flight attendant.
She's doing a great job in being that whimsy flight attendant, and the male lead playing in her head all the time. It's
pretty clever.
It's a clever made. I don't think they can make a sequel out of it.
Yeah.
Depends on how it ends, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's
a different way of doing it, I would say.
Absolutely. Wow. So what's going on next week? Is it Christmas?
It's Christmas next week. We ought to do something. Maybe we can do it Wednesday, because we do Christmas Eve, which is Thursday, I guess.
Yes.
Maybe we can do it Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah. Let's do that. That's cool.
I'll do it from Gothenburg, where I will be celebrating Christmas. So I'll be using my portable studio.
Ooh, everyone's really excited to see your portable studio.
See how that looks, right?
And people are all over the world want to learn more about Gothenburg.
Yes. I'm not the best educator on Gothenburg. There's like this rivalry, like Boston, New York, I guess, between Stockholm and Gothenburg.
Okay.
I'm from Stockholm.
Mm.
Yeah.
How
My
big
wife
is
is from Gothenburg. So
how big a city is Gothenburg?
it's a village, we call it. It's 800,000.
Okay. All right. It's a village. Yeah. Yeah. You're already looking down your
Sure.
nose at Gothenburg, aren't you? I can see it. But your wife,
My university was the Royal University of Technology in Stockholm.
a Royal
And-
University of Technology.
Yeah, exactly. And they have their little school, right?
Yeah. We have
Yeah,
our little
it's-
school. You're going to learn about technology.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
That's
final
cool.
question. What's for dinner this weekend? I need inspiration.
Yes. You know what? Let me show you something. I'll show you two things. All right. Perini
Steak
Ranch.
rub.
All right. I tried an experiment. Luckily, I just happen to have the box here. I showed some pictures on the gram.
Yes. So good.
I finally, my wife actually bought this. I've never tried it, but I've heard of friends who have, and they said it's amazing how
Is it the Anova?
this one's not. This is called, it's from Ink Bird, which makes no sense. I don't even know what that name means. It's a bird that has
These are things you want in the water. Yeah.
yes. And so, but anyway, Ink Bird. Yeah, it's got a computer control. It has Wi-Fi, and so I have an app on my phone to control it. It has recipes. You can type, different types of beef or pork or
Yep.
chicken and presets, or you can do your own. And so I did my first experiment with sous vide. My dad had sent me some tenderloin kind of steak things, a little different than a normal steak, kind of more round, whatever thing. And from Buffalo Gap, Texas, which is near Abilene, Texas, which is where I'm from originally. That's out in West Texas in oil country.
Is that one
Yeah.
called locally produced meat?
Yes, yes. So, when you think of Texas and cattle and everything, this is what you think about. And so it was amazing. And so first time trying it out, I think you do different times. I guess part of the sous vide deal is there's some idea that you can't screw it up. Like if you cook it too long, it doesn't matter. And so I had this big tenderloin though. It was kind of long, almost like so definitely thicker than 2 inches. I don't know how many centimeters that is for the rest of you and the rest of the universe.
6.5.
Yeah. So thicker. And so I was like, well, I'll do maybe 2 or 2.5 hours. I think I did 2.5 hours. I think I could have done 2 maybe, and it would have been fine.
So tenderloin is, I wouldn't say it's waste, but that's so good meat. You don't need sous vide.
Yeah.
But you should, we do lamb roast beef. They're pretty small, right?
Yeah.
So we put them, we call them portion-sized roast beefs. So we put them in a vacuum bag together with like rosemary,
Yeah.
garlic, chili, a dash of lemon,
Yeah.
and then we put them in there and I let them go overnight.
Oh.
And
Wow.
they get so tender. Nom nom.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
And you heat up the grill like really ridiculously hot, and you just salt, pepper, and serve to a risotto.
And so I need to learn more about that. I've watched some YouTube videos. There's one guy who does a zillion different videos on sous vide, but so what I just did is we just had the cast iron skillet really hot. I put some butter in there. And so at the very end, just kind of seared. I think it was maybe a minute on both sides is what I did. Who knows? And the whole family was like, they were just blown away. It was so good.
It's mind blowing.
But I've seen some guys with like blowtorches, blowtorch the steaks.
That's kind of cheating, I would say.
At the very end. I mean, you're right. You're either going to put it on a grill to sear it, on a skillet to sear it, or these guys had a flamethrower that they got from the pouring company.
You want to do a little bit of caramelization of, if you have not a rub, like a wet rub.
Yeah.
And you want to kind of get a crusty kind of feeling of the spices, you could use a blowtorch, because that's really hard to get with a skillet with butter. It gets mushy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you imagine you have some kind of, hot sauce something and you.
So we're doing some. Here's our sponsor that doesn't know they're our sponsor this week. Perini Ranch mesquite smoked peppered beef tenderloin. Oh my God, it was so. Doesn't that look good? And the thing is, people screw it up all the time. They see the picture and that's what they want, and what they make on their grill is totally screwed up.
I think it's important to show the inside that bread is still cooked.
Yes, yeah. And so I've been watching the YouTube videos, making fajitas with the sous vide, like, it's kind of a skirt steak or whatever, and then doing your lime.
I've heard chicken is supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
Because chicken is typically always overcooked.
Yes. That's so true.
So the big chicken fillet, which are typically quite boring, I would say.
Yeah.
They should apparently, maybe I should try chicken sous vide.
I'm going to go all in and just start making videos myself of being an idiot using this thing. And
no, you can't fuck it up.
Maybe that's the title of the new cookbook. You can't fuck it up.
That's a great cookbook.
That's what people want.
I think that's a great ending.
And we're out, folks. You can't fuck it up.
Everything and nothing. That's exactly what you can fail with.
All right. We will see you next week for an early pre-Christmas smorgasbord of total bullshit, but it'll be festive and it'll be live from Gothenburg.
And I'll bring the Swedish drink of glögg.
Oh,
I think that would be appropriate.
Excellent. And if you're a Volvo owner, Gothenburg's the place, right?
Yes, that's where Volvos are made.
Yes. Do you remember Volvos from the 80s? Remember Volvos from the 80s? The square car that people bought? They were indestructible.
A socialistic container. They would call a socialistic family container.
Yes, but they're like the safest car in the world.
Still among the safest car in the world.
Like you can't die, Well, don't hold me to that, folks. Hopefully Kim Kardashian, the lawyer, doesn't come after me and say, I found somebody. Anyway, Gothenburg, Volvo, we're going to see all about it. It's a big village of 800,000 people, and we're super excited.
All right.
All right. Adios.